What's going on? Welcome back to Daily Football Zone. I am your host, Keb. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at IHateKeb. If you're new to the channel, first time watching one of our videos, you can check us out at Daily Football Zone on Instagram, at Daily FZ on Twitter. And obviously, if you're watching this video, you can look below and see our channel and subscribe to that. Before I get into the video, also feel free to like, share, comment on our videos. We appreciate all the engagement. It makes for better content, makes for more interaction with you guys, hearing your guys' input and being able to reply to it and all that. So me and all the other co-hosts that are part of Daily Football Zone appreciate it. And that's also to when it comes to Twitter and Instagram as well. Leave comments, reply to tweets, whatever it is. We appreciate all the engagement. But before I get into what we got in store today, just wanted to appreciate everybody that's showing love on our Instagram page. The Sean Taylor reel that we posted is probably our biggest post to date. Last time I checked, it has like over 90,000 views, over 5,000 likes, a lot of engagement. So I had to make sure I wore my Sean Taylor shirt on tonight. Just he would have turned 40 yesterday, gone too soon. Tragically lost his life. Was one of the bright. He had a bright future in NFL. Only played a couple seasons, didn't get to see his true potential. But life was taken too early, unfortunate. And just wanted to send my condolences and say happy birthday to what could have been I'm still gonna say a legend because everyone knows who Sean Taylor is, and always gonna be remembered. But yeah, if you haven't checked that out, go check out our reel. It's our most recent post on Instagram. You can go check that out. Leave a comment, share, like the video, all that. We appreciate it. But what I got for y'all today for this video is my second mock draft. And if you guys are unaware, I did a mock draft on Instagram. No, there's no YouTube video. So this is going to be the first YouTube video. It's going to start off as Kev's mock draft 2.0. There's no 1.0 videos. It's an Instagram post. I think I did that last year as well. I don't know why I did that back-to-back years, but there's a video for 2.0, but there's no video for 1.0. The 1.0 has trades. This video is not going to have trades. So I'm just doing it based off what I think the direction the team should go. Obviously, if they stayed at that pick, obviously there's going to be trades. No one's going to stay exactly where they're at. That's just obvious. It'd be really unlikely for no team to make a trade, and especially in the first round. So but just based off what I think and what they should do at that position, and maybe still get the guy if they do end up getting like someone trading, like maybe they still end up with this player. You never really know. But most likely, mock drafts are never 100% correct. It's just like the March Madness brackets. You're not going to correctly guess a whole bracket for March Madness. It's like you're not going to correct the whole first round of NFL draft, especially when you try to involve trades. And, it's never going to come out accurate. But pretty much, this, it's fun to do. People obviously like listening to people's input when it comes to mock drafts. NFL drafts around the corner, less than a month. Obviously, I listen to other people's mock drafts as well, so I get kind of what their insight, and then try to compare to what I think and all that. So it's always a fun time of year. It's always good for content. But pretty much, yeah, I'll get started. I planned on not doing a simulator. I was gonna make a whole thumbnail to put onto the screen, but I took the lazy route today. Eventually I'll probably get into start taking the time to make it because I don't know. I just feel like the simulator sometimes the lazy way, especially if it's just my mock draft. I guess when you have the other co-hosts, it comes in handy. But if it's just me, I can work on it and set it up. But I didn't do that today. But I got all my notes and who I know I'm gonna pick at what pick. So it's not gonna be all on the spot. So yeah, to start it off, Carolina Panthers are on the clock. And, me being a Panther fan, everyone that knows me, that's tuned into the podcast, knows that I'm a huge Carolina Panther fan. I'm stoked that we moved up to the first overall pick. I've stated multiple times, it sucks to see DJ Moore go, but we need a franchise quarterback. And, ever since Cam Newton Cam Newton's departure back in 2020, we went from Teddy Bridgewater to Sam Darnold to Baker Mayfield, PJ Walker. It's been a lot of quarterbacks that has played. So we just need that franchise guy and not a question mark, at quarterback each year, and even this year though, like Andy Dalton might start the first couple games, maybe up to the bye week. Hopefully, if that's the case, we get an early bye. But and then go forward with our rookie quarterback. We never know, or maybe if whoever we get, this looks like the solidified starter from day one and beats out Andy Dalton in training camp, where it looks obvious he's ready. Like that can happen too. Either way, I'm not gonna rush the process. Frank Reich and them guys are gonna know what they're gonna do at the quarterback position, and they're gonna know when to throw him out there if he's ready week one or not. It's a process. Like, Patrick Mahomes didn't play his first full year. Like, you gotta wait a year to see Patrick Mahomes, and you saw how he flourished. Aaron Rodgers the same way. We'll see this year with Jordan Love and see what he does. Like, so if it's CJ Stroud or Bryce Young or Anthony Richardson or Will Levis, where I don't think it'll be those two guys, we'll see what happens come week one, or see how long it takes for them to actually play. But yeah, we can go now. I can stop rambling about my Carolina Panthers and actually get into the mock draft. But yeah, again, this is mock draft 2.0. It's the first video mock draft of my mock drafts. My mock draft 1.0 is just an Instagram post and a Twitter post. You can go check those out on Instagram and Twitter. So yeah, this is the first one. We also got mock drafts as a group, as a collaborative, Daily Football Zone collaborative with all my other co-hosts. You can go check those out. We got 2 out already. One that was pre Panthers Bears trade, and then one after that. We're probably gonna release our third one probably within the next week or so. Because the draft's coming, soon. Like it's less than a month. Next thing you know, it's gonna be here. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, to start off this mock draft, I'm going with Bryce Young again. I know with my collaborative drafts, I've gone CJ Stroud, and I've gone Bryce Young too. Because really, to me, it's 1A, 1B. It's really, obviously, you can go wrong with either or. I would be happy with either or. A lot of people are speculating it's going to be CJ Stroud due to the size and Frank Reich's, what Frank Reich likes at quarterback. And I don't care about the size when it comes to Bryce Young. He's a 2021 Heisman winner. He beat Georgia's, he beat Georgia in the 2021 SEC championship, where he threw over 460 yards and had 4 touchdowns. Mind you, that 5 of the defensive players on that Georgia defense was drafted in the first round last year. So obviously, it shows that he can play against talented defenses, and we'll see how how he can take hits when it comes to the NFL. Obviously that's a concern. You see it with Tua. He can't play a full season. He's been getting beat up. Also an Alabama quarterback. But Bryce Young, I don't think he's gonna. I can't think every player is going to end up with injuries, like it or not. Players get hurt, but do I think his size is going to be a problem? As of today, I don't think it will. I think he's still going to, be able to, play at an elite level, at least how you saw at Alabama. Hopefully, he can transition to the NFL. Don't want to say elite because, again, you don't know how these guys are going to, play. I don't want to people put words in my mouth saying, oh, he's going to be elite and then end up you being average. I'm not saying that. Obviously, just talking about going into the league. I think he can transition to the NFL. He kind of, there's some similarities when it comes to Patrick Mahomes, where he has a calm demeanor. He can reroute his receivers. He's played in the pro style attack at Alabama. He can, he's just a playmaker. So it's like I can see Carolina going for Bryce Young. I can see him go for CJ Stroud. It's just, it just depends on what they want. If it's Anthony Richardson or Will Levis, I know draft day is going to be crazy. Just due to those two guys being up and down. I can't see Carolina doing all of that to select one of those guys at the first overall. But to get into the Houston Texans pick at 2nd overall, that's where you go CJ Stroud. Obviously, they need a quarterback. Davis Mills isn't the answer. He was 5-19-1 the past 2 seasons. I mean, he was decent, and he's a decent backup. He threw for 33 touchdowns compared to 25 picks in those 2 years, and also threw for over 5,700 yards. So, man, he's a decent backup. But you bring in D'Amico Ryans to take over at head coach. He's gonna want to bring in his quarterback of choice. Obviously, I don't see them sticking with Davis Mills. I don't see him thinking Davis Mills is the answer. Obviously, the past 2 years it hasn't been because he only won 5 games, and you know we're bound to have the first overall pick until Levy Smith decided to win that final game in week 18. So, um, obviously they need to answer and to find that franchise guy as well, just like Carolina could be the step one. I think Carolina their team's more ready compared to Houston's, but both of them both need quarterbacks, and to get to the next level, you need to have a quarterback that isn't, I'm not gonna say mediocre because Carolina's quarterbacks have been. Davis Mills is, I can say mediocre. It's been all right. It hasn't been good. Like it's been average where he's a serviceable backup. He's not a starter. So I can see them going CJ Stroud. He's probably the most pro ready quarterback. He has the arm talent. He can get through his progressions. I would like to see him scramble more. He didn't see that a lot at Ohio State, and he even came out saying that he wished that he would have to show that he can do that. Obviously, but we'll see in the NFL how if he needs to run when the time comes, we'll see him be able to move in the pocket and get those extra couple yards if he needs to scramble. Obviously, it just we'd like to see that mobility more when he was at Ohio State, but we didn't really get to see that. But we can get into the Arizona Cardinals pick with the 3rd overall pick, and that will be Will Anderson Jr. They can go Jalen Carter, but obviously with the off-field issues, all that, it seems like he got probation, all that's in the past. I mean, he did gain like 7 pounds between the combine and the draft and the pro day, where he wasn't even able to finish his pro day, and he was cramping up. Obviously, looked out of shape. Maybe that's a concern if you're just stressing about his situation. Obviously, people handle stress in a different way. Maybe he was eating more, wasn't working out. He was, I don't really know what was going on during that time period with the off the field issues and what he was doing or how he was feeling. But that's my assumption that could have been a possibility. But obviously that's not a good look, and that's why I feel like they're gonna go Will Anderson. They can use an edge. The Cardinals had 36 sacks total in 2022, and J.J. Watt led the team with 12 and a half sacks, and he announced his retirement. So he's not going to be there next year, obviously. Will Anderson, he had 34 and a half sacks in 3 years at Alabama. He had 17 and a half himself in 2021. He had less last year with only like 10 or so. But, he's still the best edge rusher in this class, like no doubt. Going back to last year, they thought he would probably be the number one pick going into this year. People would argue that obviously quarterbacks, if you got quarterback needs, they're going to be the ones getting top priority. But you could say he's arguably going into last year, say he was the best player going into this draft. But, and then Jalen Carter, obviously, this year, he's, if not the best player in this draft class. Obviously, Will Anderson's argument as well. But yeah, Will Anderson to the Cardinals. Their edge rushers right now is like Myjai Sanders, and I can't think of who the next guy is. But obviously they can use help on that defensive front. But yeah, we got the Indianapolis Colts, and this is where we'll see what they do right here. They got options. They can draft a quarterback. Lamar's still in the fold. Like what's going to happen with Lamar? Is he going to get traded? Is he going to stay in Baltimore? Could Indianapolis trade for Lamar? Like we'll see what they do here. I've been mocking Will Levis here to the Colts, but I'm changing it up. Even though I feel like Will Levis just looks like a Colt. Like he, I don't know if it's that Kentucky blue on him, but it's just, I just see him as a Colt. But I'm gonna go with Anthony Richardson this time. I feel like his hype has been having him rise in the draft. Obviously, he impressed at the combine. The teams are going to be banking on his unbelievable frame, like his potential. They're banking on his potential because he has an unbelievable frame, especially for his size. How he gets the Cam Newton comparisons, obviously, but he was too up and down at Florida. That's why I wouldn't want to trade up to one to select Anthony Richardson when he's a raw prospect. Obviously, I wouldn't want to give up all that for more of a gamble compared to a guy like Young and Stroud. So but I can see Colts trying to go after Richardson. You bring in Gardner Minshew, you still have Nick Foles. If you need to start one of those guys for a couple games, it's like I said, Carolina can do with Andy Dalton. Maybe that's what they do. We know there's been a quarterback carousel in Indianapolis ever since Andrew Luck retired 2 weeks before the fucking NFL season in, what was it, 2019? So um, I can see them going Anthony Richardson. I just feel like that's a Colt move as well. Obviously, they need the quarterback, and it's going to be quarterback. Um, but we'll see. And again, when it comes closer to the draft, that could be the Ravens pick. We'll see what happens with Lamar. The draft is crazy. You didn't see EJ Brown or Hollywood Brown. Who would have predicted they were getting traded on draft night last year? Like, no one predicted that. So we'll see what happens on draft night, or if it comes a couple days before, or a week from now, or a week before then. Like, we'll see what happens. Excuse me. But we can go into the Seahawks pick at 5. This is their first of 2. They also had the 20th overall pick. They got this one with the Russell Wilson trade with Denver, so they're getting the top 5 pick. Obviously, looking like a good trade for them. We'll see how Russell Wilson does with Sean Payton now. Obviously, Nathaniel Hackett wasn't meant to be a head coach and was a recipe for disaster in Denver last year, but we'll see how Russell Wilson bounces back. He's not in his prime anymore. He got hurt the year before in his last year in Seattle, and then in Denver didn't look good at all. So I don't see him being all pro quarterback anymore, but or even a Pro Bowler at that. But we'll see how he does in Sean Payton's offense, and see how that team is now. Because Sean Payton's a solidified coach in the league. Everyone he's one of the veteran coaches that has he's won a Super Bowl in New Orleans. He's made playoff appearances. So to go from Nathaniel Hackett and bring in a guy like Sean Payton, he can turn that team around. We'll see though. But we got the Seahawks on the clock, and with them, I don't see them going Jalen Carter. They did just get Draymond Jones, but instead of defensive tackle, I see them going edge rusher with Tyree Wilson on the board right there. He had 14 sacks since 2021. He had back-to-back seasons with 7 sacks. He has elite size. You need to improve their pass rush. Obviously, Nwosu's with the other edge rusher they got there. You bring in Draymond Jones to fill in on the inside of that defensive line, and then you bring in Tyree Wilson. I feel like that'd be a good move. Tyree Wilson's been skyrocketing on boards a lot. He's projected to go in the top 10, and possibly early as 5 if Seattle doesn't want to go quarterback right there. I can see the Seattle Seahawks getting Tyree Wilson at the 5th overall pick. So that's where I went there. So now we got the Detroit Lions on the clock, who also made a trade. They traded Matthew Stafford away and got the Rams first round pick this year as well. And they're a team that's on the rise, a team that's possibly a favorite to win the NFC North. Made a lot of big moves on defense, especially, and then they're looking like a team that's going to be talked about a lot this coming year. There's a lot of expectations going in on Detroit with all the moves that they made and the potential that they got, and even going back to last year where they showed potential. Obviously, they were short in making the playoffs, but beating Green Bay and knocking them out in that Sunday night game was obviously the highlight of their season. Not seeing Green Bay go to the playoffs. So there's a lot of potential there in Detroit for them to make a division push or even try to make a wild card spot. Obviously, Green Bay might take a step down some more with Rodgers. If Rodgers is leaving, and this is how that team is looking right now. Vikings were obviously frauds. I mean, they won a lot of one point games, if that, last year, and they won the division. But a lot of those games they could have lost, and it could have been they could have had a whole different record last year. Obviously, give them credit, they won the games, but Lions are obviously made improvements this offseason where they're going to be able to compete with the Minnesota Vikings. Same with Chicago Bears. We'll talk about them in a second. But yeah, the Detroit Lions are on the clock, and this is where I got Jalen Carter going. I mean, it wouldn't surprise if he fell out of the top 10 due to everything he got going on. We'll see. Some people might just want, say like my situation, the Lions might just take the risk on him just due to the talent that he provides to a defense. Like this man, he has off-field issues, but he's the best defensive player, if not the best defensive player in this draft. You put him on a defensive line with Aiden Hutchinson and James Houston and Romeo Okwara and who's the other guy that's there? Charles Harris, I believe it is. Like that, and then I got another pick they got coming later. We'll see what they do with that pick. But as of right now, like with those guys, like, and then you add to that secondary with CJ Gardner Johnson, you get Cam Sutton and Emmanuel Mosley, and you still got Jeff Okudah there, and their linebackers are all right. You got Malcolm Rodriguez, who's well, I like that at Oklahoma State. I believe he was undrafted or he was a late round pick. I can't remember when, if he was drafted. But I liked him out of Oklahoma State, and he can show promise going into his second year. So yeah, that Detroit Lions defense and even that offense, we'll see what Jared Goff does. A lot of people think they can possibly get a quarterback to sit behind Goff, but I think they'll stick with Goff for now. Obviously, he went to the Super Bowl with the Rams. Obviously, he didn't get done against that good New England Patriots defense that still had Tom Brady on the team. And obviously you see them do it with Matthew Stafford, but Jared Goff, I'll give him his credit. He's not horrible. He's an average quarterback. I know I was talking about Davis Mills. Obviously, he's better than Davis Mills, but I see them sticking with Jared Goff for now. We'll see how he does. Obviously, this year is going to be a big determination on Goff's future in general, just due to the fact that they're bringing in a lot of pieces. He has to show that he can play another good year and get them to the playoffs, especially if he wants to remain the starter, or they might go a different route going forward. But we'll see. I don't think as of this year's draft, I don't see them doing it. I don't see them getting a quarterback in the first round at least. Maybe they get a guy in day 2 or day 3, but I don't see them going quarterback with Will Levis still on the board. So I don't see them doing it. But we can get into pick number 7, Las Vegas Raiders. There's been reports that they're out on Jalen Carter supposedly, but I feel like that's such a Raiders move. If Jalen Carter was there, I feel like that's such a Raiders move. But obviously, there's you don't know. Again, we'll see how accurate reports are. But supposedly they're out on Jalen Carter if he's available there at 7. But we'll see. But I feel like that would be a Raiders move to do. But in this mock, I got them going cornerback Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. Obviously they desperately need secondary help and just defensive help in general. And the cornerbacks are Nate Hobbs, who I like better in the nickel. Duke Shelley, who came from Minnesota. Brandon Facyson, I think that's how you say his name. He was in, I believe, Indianapolis before last year. Those are like the 3 main guys. Like obviously Duke Shelley is not not a cornerback 1 or 2, if not even 3. Nate Hobbs I like better in the nickel, but he can play on the outside if needed. And then Brandon Facyson, he's serviceable, but he's not. Obviously, I'd rather have Devin Witherspoon there over him in that starting defense. So desperately need defensive help in general. Bringing in Witherspoon, he flies around in coverage. He's not afraid to tackle. He has good footwork for a 6-foot corner. Arguably the best corner in this draft. I can see them making that move at 7 to select Devin Witherspoon. But now we can get into pick number 8. The Atlanta Falcons are on the clock, and I got them going cornerback as well. But I got them going Christian Gonzalez, cornerback out of Oregon. They added Jesse Bates to that secondary. You still have AJ Terrell, and then you got Casey Hayward, who's he's only getting older. Like he might have another year, if maybe 2 left in the tank. So to get another cornerback like Christian Gonzalez, who's fast, he ran like a 4.38 or I believe it was at the combine for 40. He has great size and speed and explosiveness. Like to put him in that secondary that you just acquired Jesse Bates, and then you got AJ Terrell still there. I feel like that's a great move for Atlanta at 8. Falcons defense, they gave up the 8th most passing yards in 2022, and then they were tied for the 6th least in interceptions with 10. So obviously they can use improvement when it comes to the secondary, especially Casey Hayward, who I don't even think he got hurt, I think at one point last year too, and he's just getting older. I feel like they can bring in a guy like Christian Gonzalez to help that secondary out. But now I mentioned we got the Chicago Bears on the clock. They had the first overall pick, they traded back to 9, and with this pick I got them going offensive tackle Paris Johnson Jr. out of Ohio State. Obviously they've been making moves on offense to help Justin Fields. Obviously they're all in on Justin Fields. You drafted him 11th overall in 2021. They still should be all in on Justin Fields for now, I think, even though his play's been all right and injury concerns and all that. But to help him, you get DJ Moore, you bring in running backs, Deontay Foreman, and David Montgomery left. Then you bring in Travis Homer, and you still got Khalil Herbert. It's all right backfield. I think they still might even draft a running back still come day 2, obviously. Because Foreman showed promise the past 2 years with Tennessee and Carolina, but I don't know. And then Khalil Herbert, obviously, he's it's kind of like a Tyreek Cohen kind of role that Tyreek Cohen was there. He could run the ball, but be used in the pass game as well. Um, but yeah, I don't see them being that main guy. And we'll see how Deontay Foreman does, but I can still see them getting another running back if needed. And but yeah, Paris Johnson Jr. I mean, you gotta give Justin Fields protection. We'll see what's up with Tevin Jenkins. There's Braxton Jones is their other tackle. You maybe move Tevin Jenkins in the inside. I think Cody Whitehair is their left guard. And the right guard is Nate Davis, who they signed from Tennessee. They gave him like a 3-year deal. So, but yeah, Paris Johnson's there on the board. I can see them going Paris Johnson. He's only allowed 3 sacks in 3 years at Ohio State. He has great speed. I can see that being the best choice for Chicago right there. I don't, you move back to 9. Obviously, you're not going to get the top guys like Willie Anderson. Obviously, you move back there knowing that you're going to get somebody you want. And Paris Johnson is a guy that's going to be there most likely. So I can see them going that route. But now we got pick 10, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles. How they finessed that pick out in New Orleans last year. That's how they got Chris Olave. But it is what it is. They got a top 10 pick, coming off a Super Bowl appearance. With this pick, I got them going. Where I got them going. Nolan Smith, edge out of Georgia. He's a freaking nature. Obviously, he got hurt last year. You didn't see a lot of him, but he had he's a fast edge rusher. You saw that in the combine. He even said that wasn't his best of his ability. But it's still fast. And you got a defensive line that has Hassan Reddick, Brandon Graham. Both of them are getting older. Brandon Graham's getting older. You got Fletcher Cox on the inside. He's obviously getting older. And then you drafted Jordan Davis last year. To bring in a guy like Nolan Smith to that defensive line, I know they've had Derek Barnett there at one point when they drafted in the first round of edge, and obviously he didn't work out. But Nolan Smith, we'll see how he does. I'm not comparing him to Derek Barnett, but maybe some Eagle fans might have PTSD with the edge rusher in the first round. Obviously, because Derek Barnett had that one big Super Bowl play, but other than that, he was just not it. But yeah, you can always use enough edge. You can never have enough edge rushers in the league. You got to rotate your your healthy guys, your guys there getting at the quarterback situational downs. You got certain guys out there, so you can never have enough. So Nolan Smith, I can see them going to Philadelphia. He had a good combine. Obviously, we'll see how that transitions to his NFL play, but you saw in Georgia that he can make the plays. So I got them going to edge rusher, Nolan Smith. But now to recap the previous 10 picks, I went Bryce Young first to Carolina. Houston Texans select C.J. Stroud. Arizona Cardinals select Will Anderson Jr. The Colts select Anthony Richardson. Seattle Seahawks go Tyree Wilson. Detroit selecting Jalen Carter at 6. At 7, you got the Las Vegas Raiders selecting Devin Witherspoon. At 8, you got the Atlanta Falcons getting Christian Gonzalez, back-to-back corners off the board. And then at 9, you got Paris Johnson Jr., offensive tackle to the Chicago Bears. And then at 10, the NFC champions getting edge rusher Nolan Smith out of Georgia. But now we got the before I get going, I need a drink. So when it's just me talking, I can my mouth's getting dry. It's kind of helpful when you got other co-hosts because then you could stop talking for a second. But yeah, this is my mock draft, so it's just me here tonight. But yeah, so we got Tennessee Titans on the clock. And they seem like a mess too. They obviously are rebuilding. They let a lot of guys go. This is where I'm gonna make the surprise move, and I've seen other mocks do it too, and there's been hype around it. But I got Will Levis going to the Tennessee Titans. I know they drafted Malik Willis in the 3rd round last year, but obviously he doesn't look pro ready. Didn't look pro ready, and I don't think he had a game over 100 yards passing. Like obviously he doesn't seem like the answer going forward. Ryan Tannehill's only getting older, but I don't see Malik Willis being the answer going forward. You got Will Levis there. I could see them going Will Levis. I mean, they met with Will Levis before his pro day. And Tennessee has had private meetings with other quarterbacks as well. So obviously they're looking at that position. Will they go at 11? We'll see. They have a lot of holes too. They can go receiver. They can. I know they can go offensive tackle. They brought in Andre Dillard and then Daniel Brunskill, but I don't trust Dillard. Obviously, he only has 9 career starts. after being a first round pick by Philly a couple years ago. But I can still think they could go a better tackle than that, even though they gave him like a $27 million deal, which I didn't like. But that kind of makes me feel like they're gonna fade off that. They can go edge rusher. They have a lot of holes, and but I can see them going quarterback as well. If Ryan Tannehill can't stay healthy again, he's getting older. Obviously, we'll see. What they do come draft day, but I got Will Levis falling to 11 at Tennessee, making a big surprise at one of the shock picks in the draft. Because obviously, come draft day is always shocking news that comes out. But yeah, you got the Houston Texans on the clock now at 12 that they got from Cleveland with the Deshaun Watson trade. And, in this one, I went Jackson Smith-Njigba to pair C.J. Stroud with his former wide receiver at Ohio State. They traded away Brandon Cooks for some pennies. You signed Robert Woods, who's obviously aging. He's not getting any younger. He came from, got released by Tennessee, and they picked him up. But who else they got on that receiving core? Nico Collins. And so only guys coming to my mind right now. So to bring in somebody like Jackson Smith-Njigba, you put him with Robert Woods, who's a veteran. You got Nico Collins there. He's familiar with C.J. Stroud. I know Smith didn't play a lot last year due to injury, but man, you saw what he did in my Utes in the Rose Bowl. The potential's there. He even that 2021 season, you saw how good he was. I'm not gonna say he's better. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is gonna be the better prospect, and you'll see him, come in the draft next year. But Jackson Smith-Njigba is still, a good receiver that they desperately need. They need receiver help, and what's not better than bringing in two guys that are familiar with each other and go, quarterback wide receiver connection in the first round with Stroud and Jackson. But yeah, now we got the New York Jets on the clock. We'll see who their quarterback is. Obviously, we've been waiting on the Aaron Rodgers trade. We thought it was going to happen when he announced it. Obviously, it still hasn't happened yet. At this point, I don't really care. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. If not, whatever. We'll see if this pick's even there. We'll see if they get a 13 for Rodgers. We'll see if, what compensation they get. We don't know. Obviously, that hasn't came out yet. But he intends to play with the Jets. Maybe he doesn't. We'll see what happens. But in this situation, we say they got the 13th overall pick. I'm going to give them Peter Skoronski, offensive tackle out of Northwestern. Again, if you get Rodgers, you got to give him protection. He's not getting any younger. You drafted Mekhi Becton a couple years ago. What was it, 2020 draft? He's only played one game in the past 2 seasons. He's only played one game since 2021. Didn't play any games last year just due to injury. Obviously, his concern was him being out of shape, and obviously he hasn't been able to stay healthy. Being out of shape maybe could be the probability of that. He only played like 13 or 14 games his rookie year and was still iffy then. So obviously they're still holding on to Mekhi Becton, but I'm sure the whole New York fan base and everyone else is giving up on him. So I say go Peter Skoronski. I don't care about his short arms. If they need to move him to guard, whatever, they can put him at left guard, with Elijah Vera Tucker at right guard. Like we'll see what they do. Max Mitchell is the other tackle that they got. But I don't see Mekhi Becton being that guy anymore. Get a guy like Peter Skoronski. Obviously, you need to be able to protect Aaron Rodgers. That team's looking promising. You throw Aaron Rodgers, that whole team's different now. That's just that's a playoff contender. I'm not gonna say Super Bowl contender, but obviously they're playing for the playoffs at least. And that's gonna be even a better division. You got Buffalo and Miami making moves. New England's still trying to make moves, and that's going to be an interesting division, especially if they get Aaron Rodgers. So we're going to look forward to that. But speaking of that division, you got the New England Patriots on the clock at 14. And I got back-to-back tackles off the board. This time I got them going with where's he at? Broderick Jones out of Georgia. They can Mac Jones is their guy. Guy getting protection, obviously. Riley Reef they signed. He's like 34 years old. He's not the guy. Trent Brown's their left tackle. He's only getting older as well. Bringing a younger guy on a rookie contract. I can see them bringing in a guy like Broderick Jones there at 14. But you never know. They traded back last year from like 21 to 31 with Kansas City, and they selected Cole Strange. So we'll see what they do at 14. Man, who knows? I mean, Cole Strange is all right from what I remember seeing his rookie year, but obviously no one was going to draft him even in the second round. He was not projected to even go second round. Earliest I would say he was probably supposed to go third or fourth round, not the freaking first round. So We'll see what Bill Belichick got up his sleeve come draft day, but I got them going Broderick Jones. They got to protect Mac Jones. If Mac Jones is obviously their quarterback of the future, um, give him protection. Trent Brown's only getting older, so is Riley Reef. We'll see if Riley Reef can even hold up the whole year. But yeah, now we got the Green Bay Packers on the board. Since their needs is a quarterback, obviously Jordan Love's their guy. You drafted him a couple years ago in the first round. I don't see why they would have quarterback on the needs. I don't see them getting quarterback. But yeah, they can use a wide receiver, tight end. I got them going Michael Mayer, tight end, obviously. Where's that at? Yeah, I got them going Michael Mayer. Robert Tonyan Jr. left to Chicago. So that's a big hole they got there. I know they can go receiver as well, but they still got Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson there. I still think they could use another receiver, of course, but I think they could go day 2 and get another guy there at receiver. But yeah, Michael Mayer, he's going to be 22 in July, so he's only 21 right now. He'll be 21 when he's drafted. He's coming off back-to-back 800-yard seasons, catching 16 total touchdowns in those 2 years. Yeah, I feel like that's a big position of need for them. And that's where I went. I went Michael Mayer. So Jordan Love needs that security blanket, of course. We'll see what he does in his full year as a starter. It's a new regime in Green Bay at the helm at quarterback. So get your guys some weapons. Show why you drafted him, even though you had Aaron Rodgers coming off like an MVP year, or give him some help, shows true ability. But now we got the Washington Commanders on the clock at 16, and I got them going tight end as well. And even though I think Dalton Kincaid, in my opinion, is the best one in this draft. I don't got them going Dalton Kincaid. I got them going what's his name? He's been rising on boards too. Darnell Washington, tight end out of Georgia. I got them going him. I know he's been rising on a lot of mock drafts, a lot projecting him to possibly go first round. I got the Washington Commanders pulling that off. Logan Thomas is only getting older. He's getting injury prone. So I see Ron Rivera, he likes those big body targets. We saw that in Carolina when you draft Kelvin Benjamin and Devin Funchess in back-to-back years and they're at wide receiver, and then they both end up trying to be tight ends later in their career. So I can see them going after Darnell Washington, who's a 6'7", 264-pound freak. Obviously, he's a raw prospect. Only has 3 career touchdowns. Only had 28 catches last year. But you're banking on his potential. You saw he was about to destroy that damn sled in the combine. Or I think it was the combine. Yeah, it wasn't his pro day. It was the combine. So obviously you're banking on his potential. He's a freak of nature. You saw that week 1 game against Oregon where he hurdled a damn defensive back at that fucking size. Like, I could see Washington, if they roll with Sam Howell or if it's Jacoby Brissett, you already got some good receivers there with Terry McLaurin, and you draft Jahan Dotson. You still got Curtis Samuel, Diami Brown. I can see them throwing Darnell Washington in the mix and to help either if it's Howell or if it's Brissett, get them a big target like that. But now we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're now halfway through the draft, pretty much. Well, there's not 32 picks this year because of Miami, but 31 picks. So we're pretty much halfway through the draft. And we got the Pittsburgh Steelers on the clock, and I got them going. I'm sure a lot of people are kind of mocking, but we'll see if it actually happens. Joey Porter Jr. going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, like father, like son. We'll see if that happens. Obviously, they can use some cornerback help. Cam Sutton left to Detroit, who's also next on the clock. But he's a bigger frame guy, but he excels in press man coverage. And Minka Fitzpatrick can't do it all in that secondary. So to bring in a guy like Joey Porter Jr., who I'm sure fans are gonna love from the jumps due to the fact that his father played for this team, it only seems fitting that he plays for them as well. Obviously, it doesn't always happens for father-son duos. You didn't see Peyton or Eli play for the Saints, or J.C. Horn didn't get drafted by the Saints, or he ended up in Carolina. So we'll see what happens, but Joey Porter Jr., I could see that happening. I know Joey Porter was on that coaching staff at one point, but I believe he's not anymore. But I'm sure his dad's going to vouch for that to happen. I'm sure he's still got ties with Mike Tomlin and all that to make that happen. But now we got the Detroit Lions back on the clock, and I had them going Jalen Carter, arguably the best player in this dang draft at 6. So, based off the potential and talent, that's a steal at 6. It's just the off-field issues that obviously had him fall down in the mock and probably going to fall down realistically in the draft, unless Arizona at 3 decides to take a risk on him. We'll see. But yeah, I got the Detroit Lions on the clock, and I got them going Lucas Van Ness, just bringing in another defensive guy, another guy on that defensive line. Again, you can only have so many damn edge rushers. You got Aiden Hutchinson, you got James Houston, who came, I think he had like 7 sacks. Surprised, he was a late round guy and ended up being productive alongside Aiden Hutchinson from time to time. So, and again, you can always bring in those rotation of guys, and you add Jalen Carter to the mix, and now you get a guy like Lucas Van Ness, who he had 1 year productivity. It's due to how Iowa runs their program. They usually have the seniority, play, and then eventually the young guys got to wait their turn. But you saw in this past year, Lucas Van Ness's potential. He's skyrocketing on boards too. Some people think he can go top 15, top 12. I got him at 18. To Detroit Lions, I'm sure, if I was a Detroit Lion fan, I'd be cheering like crazy if this pick was announced. Just going those 2 guys on that defensive line, when you improve that secondary, maybe you want to bring in another linebacker, but there's no linebackers worth taking in the first round this year. But I'd be stoked if I was a Detroit Lions fan, getting a edge rusher, and then you bring in Jalen Carter, who, I think it's concerning with off-field issues, but if you're banking on him to stay, out of trouble and get back in shape and go based off his productivity at Georgia the past couple of years and showing that how you can just bully an offensive line and cause havoc, like I'd be stoked if I was a Detroit Lion fan. But yeah, now we got the not Seattle Seahawks. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I was about to skip them. I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the clock, and I had them going. I didn't even put it in my notes. I don't want to think. I didn't put it in my notes. I know I took a screenshot. Don't mind me. I had them. Yeah, that was right. I had them going Darnell Wright. Obviously, they can use help on the offensive line. They cut Donovan Smith. You got Tristan Wirfs on the other side, but if you stick with Baker Mayfield, or if it's fucking I can't think of the other guy's name right now. I was thinking of it earlier. Kyle Trask. Whoever the damn quarterback's going to be of the future. I don't think it's going to be either of them, but get them some damn protection. Yeah, they have a lot of needs too, especially quarterback position. I don't think they'll go tight end. I think they'll stick with Cade Otton for now. They can use help on the defensive side of the ball as well, but get some protection. You need some offensive line help, and I went Darnell Wright with a 19th overall pick. You can also, there's other guys there like DeJuan Jones over to Anton Harrison. They can be, they can be possibilities as well. I just feel like Darnell Wright is going to be the guy, but can go wrong with either of those guys as well. We'll see who. Again, these teams have their guys and who they like over the others. So I might say I think I might like Darnell Wright over Anton Harrison, but they might think otherwise. So we'll see what happens. But now we got the Seattle Seahawks on the board, and I got them going wide receiver. I got them going Quentin Johnson right here. He's a big body frame. He's like 6'3" or so, 6'3", like 210 around there. Lockett's only getting older while Metcalf is at the the peak of his prime. You give Geno that contract extension. A lot of people still think they can go quarterback, but I don't got them going quarterback. I think they'll stick with Geno for at least another year before they address going another quarterback if needed. So I got them, helping him out, getting him Quentin Johnson. You get 3 guys right there you could throw to, and you still got Noah Fant and those tight ends there. So throwing Quentin Johnson, and I know he's a bigger bodied frame, kind of like Metcalf's kind of like that too, but you throw him in the mix. I'm gonna be a happy guy if I was Geno. You got more targets to throw to. So yeah, I got Quentin Johnson at 20, and then at 21, I got another wide receiver, and I think I've done it for every single mock so far. I'm going Jordan Addison, wide receiver out of USC. I know Charger fans are probably getting sick of me mocking him, but I just feel like that's the right choice. I feel like in my heart I'll be disappointed if that doesn't happen, because I've been so confident that it's gonna happen. But we'll see come draft day. But Keenan Allen and Mike Williams haven't been able to stay on the field. They've been hurt. Allen's getting older. Mike Williams, he shows his potential, and then you can never stay on the damn field to be happy with the potential. Like, obviously, I feel like that Jacksonville game in the playoffs. I feel like he would have been a key contributor to that dang offense, even though they were up 27 points. I feel like he would have made a big difference on that offense if he was playing. But obviously, he can't freaking stay on the field from time to time. So I got them going Jordan Addison. He's productive, and he was productive in college with Pickett and Caleb Williams as his quarterbacks these past 2 years, and he'll go into the NFL with Justin Herbert, who's arguably a rising star in this league. He's due for a contract extension soon, and Chargers would be dumb not to give it to him. So I can see the Jordan Addison going from the college playing with those two guys to going to the NFL and being blessed with a quarterback like Justin Herbert. He's the 2021 Fred Biletnikoff Award winner. Sometimes I struggle with words. Biletnikoff. So he was, in 2021 with Kenny Pickett, he was the best receiver in the damn college football. So his numbers were down last year with USC compared to when he was at Pittsburgh. But he's still a productive, talented receiver that the Chargers can use. They can use. We'll see. They might go cornerback. We'll see how J.C. Jackson does when he returns. Obviously, I think he got arrested not that long ago, and then he suffered injury last year. He missed majority of the year. But then even when he was out there, he was burnt toast. So, but you see that a lot where these cornerbacks get paid big money and they end up just being trash when they go to a new team. Like you saw that with Tremaine Johnson and the Jets. Like Nnamdi Asomugha was one of them, but he was kind of like getting more past his prime when he went to the Eagles after the Raiders. But there's been a lot of cases where cornerbacks get paid and they end up just not doing nothing and end up being like horrible contracts. So we'll see how J.C. Jackson bounces back, but he might be one of those guys like because he looked like burnt toast last year before he got hurt. So I mean, I've just been a Belichick system guy, but we'll see what happens with him. But I still don't think they'll go corner. I think they go wide receiver there, get Herbert some weapons, or even tight end. Like Kincaid's right there. They could possibly go tight end. They bring back Donald Parham and Gerald Everett's your other guy who's obviously I think at this point you can bring in Kincaid to improve that. The position as well, but I'm going Jordan Addison. I feel like in my heart, like it's gonna be Jordan Addison. Staying in LA, obviously, he played in USC last year, and he's gonna stay in LA and play with Herbert. But yeah, now we got the Baltimore Ravens on the clock. I forgot to do it, but I'm gonna go over the picks 11 through 21 because I forgot to do the previous 10 picks. But yeah, Will Levis at pick 11 to the Titans. Yeah, the Houston Texans selecting Jackson Smith and Jigba. At 12, at 13, I had Peter Skoronski to the Jets. Pick 14, I got Patriots selecting Broderick Jones. At pick 15, I got the Packers going Michael Mayer, and back-to-back tight ends. Because at pick 16, I had Darnell Washington going to the Commanders, and at 17, Joey Porter is playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers like his dad. Pick 18, the Lions go another defensive lineman with Lucas Van Ness on the edge. Pick 19, Darnell Wright, Donovan Smith replacement. Pick 20, Seahawks give Geno Smith another weapon and wide receiver Quentin Johnston. Lions had their pick forfeit for tampering with Sean Payton and Tom Brady. So pick 21 was the Chargers selecting wide receiver Jordan Addison, staying in LA, going from Caleb Williams to Justin Herbert. I'd be a happy man. But yeah, Baltimore Ravens are on the clock at 22, and now they've been the talk of one of the talks of this past offseason, this recent offseason. We'll see what happens with Lamar Jackson. That's been a whole drama in itself. We'll see if he ends up playing under the tender, or if they trade him. We'll see come draft day. We'll see him come off the summer. We'll see what happens. But they can use wide receiver here. Obviously, you got, speaking of wide receiver, you had you have Rashad Bateman calling out your GM on Twitter. Obviously, this has been a kind of a shit show for that team. But yeah, they can use receiver. They bring in Nelson Aguilar. Obviously, he's not the damn answer. Rashad Bateman, he was drafted late first round in 2021. He hasn't seemed to be the answer. Devin Duvernay is not the answer either. But I don't got them going receiver because I don't feel like they're gonna do it. I feel like they're gonna go cornerback Deontay Banks. Obviously, they need cornerback help. You don't got Marcus Peters there anymore. Marlon Humphrey's their only good quarterback. Brandon Stephens is the other cornerback. I feel like Deontay Banks is going to be their guy, or if it's not Deontay Banks, maybe another cornerback like Cam Smith or Emmanuel Forbes. But I mocked Deontay Banks. I feel like a cornerback's a big need as well as receiver, or even they can use another edge rusher too. All those needs I feel like are accurate on PFF. But But yeah, I don't see them rolling with Brandon Stephens as cornerback too. So I got them going Deontay Banks out of Maryland, staying nearby. With the Vikings on the clock, I got them going wide receiver. I got them going Zay Flowers out of Boston College. Adam Thielen left for Carolina. They released him, obviously. So they got to bring somebody to complement Justin Jefferson, and who's you know, Zay Flowers could be that guy. Like he has the Steve Smith comparisons, being a small bodied 5'9", 182-pound receiver. But he's good after the catch. He has great speed and quickness. Like you have Justin Jefferson, who's an all around receiver, and you throw in Zay Flowers, and then you still have KJ Osborne. Like I'd be happy if I was Kirk Cousins. Zay Flowers, he can make big plays, and I feel like he'd fit that offense, and you complement him with Justin Jefferson, who's arguably the best receiver in the game going forward. So, I can see Zay Flowers being an option for the Minnesota Vikings at 23. At 24, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars. They can go defensive back here. I see Brandon Branch there, but I don't got them going defensive back. I actually got them going guard, and I got them getting the best guard in this draft class with Osiris Torrance from Florida, if I can find him. There he is. Arguably, the best interior offensive lineman in this draft. Probably be the only one drafted in the first round. Jacksonville. You got to protect Trevor Lawrence. He's the best guard in this draft. Why not get him? Brandon Scherf at right guard. I think Ben Barch is the left guard, but he's coming off injury. I feel like getting Osiris Torrance will just improve the offensive line and set Ben Barch, heal from that injury. I think it was a torn ACL. I know he had like a knee injury, so that's it might be hard to come back from, and we'll see how Ben Barch recovers from that. But if you have Osiris Torrance on the board, I'd select him and have Ben Barch as that backup guy going forward. And you still have Brandon Scherf. Yeah, he's getting older, but he's still he can still play at a productive level. And again, Trevor Lawrence, keep him protected. You got to keep these young guys protected, because Trevor Lawrence obviously shown that he can win Jacksonville games. He threw those 4 picks in the first half against the Chargers and led the damn team back to win. Like, obviously, not every quarterback could do that. And I've always been a Trevor Lawrence believer. A lot of people try to write him off after his rookie year, and then going into this past season and writing him off in the playoff game. And obviously, the people I was with watching that game, they all vouch that I said they were going to come back and win that game. So, that's a Charger thing though. Like, I'm not surprised by that. But I got them, getting Trevor Lawrence some more protection. But with the 25th pick, now you got the Giants on the clock, and that's where I got Brian Branch going to. You lose Julian Love to Seattle. You only got Xavier McKinney back there. I can't remember who the other safety is. I feel like Brian Branch could be the guy. Some people think receiver, but they got Isaiah Hodgins. They'll get Wan'Dale Robinson back. You bring back Sterling Shepard. You sign Jamison Crowder. I don't see them getting a receiver at 25. They can maybe go day 2 and get another receiver if they want to, but I feel like they'll address the safety position if Brian Branch is on the board right there. I feel like that's the right move. Branch had 90 tackles, career high last year. 14 tackles for a loss was also a career high. So I feel like that'll be a position that'll be addressed at 25 if Brandon Branch is on the board. But come pick 26, another NFC East team. I got them going. This is everyone's favorite. Everyone wants to happen and watch it not happen. But I got Bijan Robinson from Texas, running back, going to Dallas, staying put in Texas. You release Ezekiel Elliott and you franchise tag Pollard. Pollard, he's nice, Pro Bowler, but you still bring in somebody like Robinson to complement that, and we'll see if Pollard's even the guy going forward. He got franchise tagged. We'll see if he even remains a Cowboy after this year. So, they'll complement each other this year. Obviously, he has more juice than Ezekiel Elliott does this going into the season. He had 104 missed tackles in 2022. That led the whole college football last year. Like, this guy's a freaking nature. He's a freaking stud at running back. At 26, I know a lot of people don't like when teams draft running backs in the first round, but this is pick 26, and Dallas, they can make that move for running back. I won't blame them. Maybe if they traded up to freaking top 10 to draft them, okay, that's like, okay, what are you doing? But at 26, I wouldn't be mad at this. I'd be stoked if I was a Cowboy fan. But yeah, come pick 27. We're almost done here. We got the Buffalo Bills on the clock. And I got them going defensive lineman Brian Bresee out of Clemson. He didn't have the 2020 season you thought you'd see out of him, but he can still be a productive piece on that defense. Um, I know he had off the field issues with his family. He had family problems going on. I believe it was his sister that passed away. Rest in peace. But putting him in on that defensive line, they have Ed Oliver. He's up for free agency after this year. So is Daquan Jones and Tim Settle, who obviously I'd rather have Brian Bresee going forward than those two guys. But if you bring Oliver back on a contract too, going forward with Bresee and Oliver, that'd be a really good defensive line for a team that's trying to compete for a Super Bowl. Like those are the moves you make. You want to, play for the Super Bowl. You've been a Super Bowl favorite the past couple of years, and obviously can't get there. I feel like going for a guy like Brian Bresee to clog up that defensive line right there. Like I feel like that's a good move for the Bills. But now we got Cincinnati Bengals, who are also trying to get back to the Super Bowl because they beat, it was the Bills they beat, right, in 2021, them and the Chiefs. Well, they got there in 2021, obviously lost to the Rams. This is where I got Dalton Kincaid going. I haven't fallen to 28. Some people think he'll fall the first round, but I got him going to 28. You don't have Hayden Hurst anymore. You got those 3-star receivers you got those 3-star receivers and Boyd, Higgins, and Chase. Boyd's obviously, getting older, but Chase is that main guy. So is Higgins. Like Higgins is good too. And then Boyd's just a complimentary piece, that third guy. But give Burrow another weapon. Some people think they'll still address the offensive line. We'll see. And you get Orlando Brown. You still got Lil Collins coming back. Jonah Williams wants to trade. We'll see what happens with that. But I don't see them going offensive tackle. I say you got Dalton Kincaid right there. What would be better for that pass game? What would be better to help Burrow, and what would make him look better? Obviously, Dalton Kincaid sitting right there. He's coming off a good season with Utah, caught a career high with 70 receptions. He had 16 total touchdowns as well since 2021. He's coming off a back injury. He played through it going late into the year, but so he didn't play. He didn't participate in the combine or his pro day. But obviously, the tape don't lie. He'll recover from that back injury, and obviously he's shown that he can play through injury if needed. So I see them giving Burrow another fucking good weapon, and Dalton Kincaid's gonna be that guy. He's my favorite tight end. Obviously, I'm a Utah homer. I'm a Utah fan, but just going off watching him, like I'm just being honest. Like obviously, I like Clark Phillips. People obviously teams are gonna be worried about his size, where he's not gonna go in the first round, even though I think he can play at a first round talent as well. But size is gonna turn teams away. He might be a day 2 guy. Well, most likely he'll be a day 2 guy. Maybe second round, maybe possibly early third. But just being honest, I'm not going to put Clark Phillips in the first round. But Dalton Kincaid is the guy that will likely be in the first round unless he happens to fall out due to teams maybe being concerned about the back injury. That's the only reason why I think he'd fall out. But now you got the New Orleans Saints on the board after the Sean Payton trade that they got from Denver for pick 29. That was originally San Francisco's. I got them, addressing the cornerback position again. Obviously, you got Marshawn Lattimore there. Adebo's there. But, you can never have, again, just like edge rushers, this day and age, you got to have cornerbacks too. And I feel like they'll address that position at 29. You can never use enough cornerbacks when you got teams like the Bengals with those 3 receivers, and then have them get into Kincaid. Like, they have a lot of targets, and you can never, have enough cornerback help. But now we got the Philadelphia Eagles back on the clock at 30. And with this pick, giving them a luxury pick due to their situation, I got them going Jalen Hyatt. You pair him with Smith and Brown. He take off the top of a defense. You want to throw him in the slot or whatever you want to do. I feel like they can, give Jalen Hurts more freaking talent on that damn offense. He played at an MVP level last year. Obviously, he missed a couple games and obviously didn't win MVP. But he was in the discussion and was, obviously talked about, and obviously went to the Super Bowl and played good, but obviously couldn't get it done. And you bring in a guy like Jalen Hyatt, I'd be stoked. You pair him with Devontae Smith, and then you trade it for AJ Brown. That'd just make that offense even more scarier in the pass game. But to finish it off, I got the Kansas City Chiefs on the clock, and I got them going Kalijah Kancey. You pair him with Chris Jones. You know, that makes for a stellar defensive line. Obviously, the size is the concern, but a lot of people want to compare him to Aaron Donald. Obviously, he's not Aaron Donald. We'll see if he ever does be compared to Aaron Donald when it comes to actual productivity. But the comparisons of being coming out of Pittsburgh, being the undersized defensive tackle, um, you know, that's all the comparisons. But we'll see when it comes to actual skill. But yeah, that's pretty much my mock draft 2.0. There's a lot of guys on there. I can go over them all right now. Bryce Young, number 1 to Carolina. Houston went C.J. Stroud. Arizona, Will Anderson. Indianapolis Colts, Anthony Richardson. Seattle Seahawks go Tyree Wilson. Detroit Lions go Jalen Carter. At number 7, the Raiders select Devon Witherspoon. At 8, Atlanta goes Christian Gonzalez. At 9, Paris Johnson Jr. to the Bears. Number 10, Nolan Smith, edge rusher out of Georgia, to the Philadelphia Eagles. At 11, I have Will Levis going to the Titans. At pick 12, I got Jackson Smith-Njigba to the Houston Texans. At 13, I got Peter Skoronski to the Jets. At 14, Broderick Jones, back-to-back tackles off the board. He's going to the Patriots. And they got back-to-back tight ends with 15, Packers going Michael Mayer. And then at 16, Commanders going Darnell Washington. And then at 17, like father, like son, Joey Porter is going to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. At 18, edge rusher Lucas Van Ness to the Detroit Lions. At 19, Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Darnell Wright. And then I got another back-to-back receivers with Seattle selecting Quentin Johnston at 20. And then at 21, the Chargers selecting Jordan Addison. At 22, Deontay Banks, cornerback to the Baltimore Ravens. At 23, you got wide receivers Zay Flowers to the Vikings. At 24, Osiris Torrance to the Jacksonville Jaguars. At 25, Brian Branch to the New York Football Giants. At 26, Bijan Robinson staying in Texas to play for the Cowboys. And then at 27, Brian Bresee going up north to the Buffalo Bills. And at 28, I have Cincinnati Bengals selecting tight end Dalton Kincaid. And then at 29, Cam Smith to the Saints. And at 30, Jalen Hyatt to the Philadelphia Eagles. And then 31, Kalijah Kancey to the Kansas City Chiefs. So, yeah, that's pretty much my mock draft 2.0. It's an hour long. I need to get that dual monitor so I can see both. It sucks having to go from tab to tab. I didn't even know how long this video was. I guess I've been on for an hour now, but yeah, that's my mock draft 2.0. Yeah, you'll be able to see this on Monday, April 3rd. Let me know in the comments who you think was a good decision. Let me know if you think someone else will go to a certain team, or how you thought of this mock draft in general. NFL draft's coming up. It's a great time of the year. I'm always excited for the draft. I hope everyone that's watching feels the same way. I plan on trying to attend the draft next year in Detroit. We'll see what happens, but yeah, looking forward to it. It's in Kansas City this year. I wish I would be able to make it. Obviously I can't, but we got the first overall pick and it sucks. I wish I would be able to make it, but it is what it is. We'll be covering that as well, recapping that when it comes. You can look forward to that, and then look forward to more content coming from us. Obviously, it's just me. It's because it's my mock draft. I didn't bring in any co-hosts, but I'll make sure to put more content with co-hosts as well. And until the next mock draft, I'm probably gonna put one out every Monday until the draft, until that week. So you can expect mock draft 2.0 next Monday, and I'll see y'all then. And until next time, see you on the next mock draft.